Good day, ma'am. Today, we will going to present the Chapter 4 and the Chapter 5 of our thesis entitled Assessing the Effectiveness of Community-Based Interventions and Legal Protections in Improving HIV/AIDS Awareness and Healthcare Access in Anda, Pangasinan. By the way, I am Trisha Altique together with
Para Celeste
and Mariela Camaso.
So let's start with the introduction. HIV/AIDS remains a global and national health crisis with rising cases in the Philippines and Pangasinan. Community-based interventions, legal protections, and education are crucial to improve awareness, reduce stigma, and increase healthcare access, especially in rural areas like Anda. So our study aims to assess how these measures impact HIV/AIDS response in the local context. So here's our Chapter 4 to be presented by Farah.
Okay, let's proceed to Chapter 4, which entitled Presentation, Analysis of Data, and Presentation of Findings. So this chapter presents the data gathered, analyzed, and interpreted in relation to the profile of the respondents. So the analysis aligns with the objectives stated in Chapter 1 and aims to assess the impact of community-based intervention and legal protections in improving HIV or AIDS awareness and healthcare access in Anda, Pangasinan. So, profile of respondents. So the respondents' demographic profiles offer critical insights into the social landscape influencing HIV/AIDS awareness and healthcare access. Understanding these factors is essential to assessing how different community groups benefit from intervention and where gaps may exist. So let's proceed to Table 1.8, which is the age of the respondents. So the data reveals that the group ranges 15 to 24 years old constitutes the largest portion, which equals to 46.11% of respondents. Conversely, the 25 to 34 age group has the lowest representation, which equals to 9.44%, and the average respondent age spans from 15 to 54 years, with a notable number falling in the 45 to 54 range. So, these findings suggest that youth are more actively engaged in HIV/AIDS related initiatives, possibly due to peer education and school-based outreach. However, the underrepresentation of the 25 to 34 age group indicates a need for targeted program to reach this demographic. So for the supporting literature or in support to this, Salam et al. 2014 emphasized that peer-led education and outreach are particularly effective for individuals aged 15 to 24 as age-specific strategies align with their developmental needs. The lower participation from the 25 to 34 age group may reflect gaps in outreach, highlighting the need for inclusive age-targeted awareness campaigns. Now, let's move on to Table 1.5, which is the gender of the respondents. So, the gender breakdown shows 56.11% of female and 42.89% male respondents. While both genders are well represented, female is the outnumbered male. So, as you can see there, it suggests that higher female participation in matters concerning health and awareness. So this trend may point to greater health engagement among women, potentially due to reproductive health possibilities or increased awareness of health risks. So in support to this, Star et al. 2020 stressed the effectiveness of community-based and peer-led interventions in improving women's access to HIV services. So especially in rural settings where stigma and barrier persist. So gender-sensitive approaches, particularly those integrating reproductive health with HIV care, have shown to boost female engagement, echoing the gender distribution observed in the study. So next is the Table 1.6. Thank you. So Table 1.6, or the residency of the respondents. So this table presents the distribution of respondents across the various barangays in Anda, Pangasinan. Each barangay, including Awag, Awili, Bacharao, Kabungan, Karot, and others, contributed an equal participants or respondents, which is equals to 10 each. So, accounting for approximately 5.55 to 5.56% per barangay. So, the equal representation ensures balanced participations across all communities, providing a comprehensive overview of how interventions affect different localities. So, in support to this, Dave et al. 2019 underscored the effectiveness of decentralized community-based HIV interventions or community-based interventions such as peer-led education and mobile testing, which are most impactful when all communities are equally engaged. So next, we have Table 1.D, which is the civil status of the respondents. So here, the majority of the respondents are single, which equals to 53.89%, followed by married individuals, which is 35%, and then The least represented are those separated, which is 1.11%. There are 2 respondents for that, and no respondents are identified for the widowed. So this suggests that single individuals are more actively participating, possibly due to youth-focused outreach. The low turnout from separated or widowed individuals may reflect barriers to access or engagement. So in support with this, Donfilio et al. 2017 noted that while civil status may not impact awareness levels, it can influence participation in healthcare programs, with singles often having greater access to HIV-related information. So next, we have Table 1.E, highest educational attainment of the respondents. So nearly half of the respondents, which equals to 49.44%, have some college education, while the smallest group include those master's unit, which has percent of 0.56%, and no formal education with 0%. So we have no respondents for no formal education. So this suggests a moderately educated population, which may facilitate better understanding of HIV-related issues. However, lack of advanced education could mean limited access to in-depth health information. So in support for this, UNESCO highlights that higher education levels are associated with greater awareness and preventive behavior. Tailored interventions can help bridge knowledge gaps, especially those with lower educational attainment. So next, Table 1.F, which is the monthly household income of the respondents. As you can see, the majority of respondents is equal to 48.33%. We have 87 respondents for that, and they earn between 5,000 pesos to 14,999 pesos, while only 2.22% in between 30,000 pesos between the 59,999 pesos, and none earn 60,000 or more. So we have no respondents for that. This reflects a predominantly low-income population, which may face financial barriers in accessing healthcare facilities, healthcare services. The data suggests a need for affordability-focused HIV program. So in support with this, Gary et al. 2013 found that low-income individuals often face restricted access to treatment, highlighting the importance of subsidized or low-cost services to support economically vulnerable groups. And then now let's proceed to Table 1.3, which is the occupation of the respondents. So the largest occupational group is student, which it has 67 respondents. We have 67 respondents for that, which is equal to 37.22%. And then while housekeepers are the least represented, which is equal to 1.67%. So the dominance of students suggests strong youth involvement, while the low participation of housekeepers may reflect limited access or social barriers affecting certain groups. So in support with that, Mirawan et al. 2020 observed that housewives and domestic workers often experience reduced healthcare engagement due to stigma, limited access, or familial constraints, underscoring occupational disparities in health access. Okay, let's proceed to Table 1.H, which is the religion of the respondents. So the majority of respondents identify as Roman Catholic. We have 75 respondents for that, which is equal to 41.67%. While Catholics and others each represent only 1.11%. That is to say, there and other religions. So religion may influence health attitudes and engagement with health services. The dominance of one religious group suggests a need to ensure inclusivity in HIV education and healthcare access for minority faiths. So in support with that, Abu Bakr et al. 2013 noted that religious beliefs significantly shape conceptions and behaviors related to HIV/AIDS, calling for culturally and religiously sensitive approaches to public health education. Okay, so we're done with respondents, profile of the respondents. So now let's proceed to the respondents' awareness and knowledge about HIV/AIDS. Next, please. Respondents' awareness and knowledge about HIV/AIDS. This section presents the respondents' level of awareness and knowledge regarding HIV/AIDS, categorized by 5 domains, which are the access to information, prevention, definition or the legal policies, treatment and support, and common misconceptions. So each domain is analyzed using mean scores and interpreted through descriptive equivalence to determine general awareness levels and identify areas needing improvement. So table 2.A, the awareness and knowledge in terms of access to information. So this table assesses respondents' knowledge of HIV transmission. So the highest awareness was recorded for understanding what HIV is and how it affects the body, which the mean score is equal to 4.08, while the lowest was in recognizing common symptoms of HIV/AIDS, which has mean score of 3.67. So the overall mean score of 3.87 falls under the aware category. So this means where respondents generally demonstrate sufficient knowledge, there is a need to strengthen understanding of HIV symptoms and how it differs from other infections or the STI. So this finding suggests that targeted information campaigns could address this knowledge gap. So in support to this, Al-Madru et al. 2022 found that although HIV or AIDS knowledge was relatively high in Saudi Arabia, significant gaps remained, especially among individuals with lower education. So the study highlighted the need for continuous educational initiatives, particularly for populations less exposed to reliable health information. So next, let's proceed to table 2.B, which is the awareness and knowledge in terms of prevention. So respondents showed consistent awareness in preventive measures, with the highest understanding again reflected in knowing what HIV is and its effect. So the mean score is equal to 4.08, and the lowest and the lowest is in symptom recognition. So how we recognize the symptoms. So the mean score is equal to 3.67, and the overall awareness remains. The overall mean score is 3.87, which falls under the aware category. So this means that although respondents are well informed about prevention, the data reveals lingering confusion regarding the symptoms. So suggesting the necessity for more comprehensive educational outreach on symptomatology and early detection. So in support with this, Altabana and Macabeo 2024 found that socioeconomic and personal factors heavily influence HIV awareness in the Philippines. They emphasize the role of targeted outreach and context-specific programs in improving both symptom recognition and prevention knowledge in vulnerable communities, like here in Anda. Okay, let's move on to table 2.6C, which is the awareness and knowledge in terms of protection or legal policies. So this section evaluates the respondent's knowledge of HIV-related legal protection. So awareness was moderate with a mean score of 3.27. Respondents were most familiar with Republic Act number 11166, which has mean score of 3.31, which strengthens the HIV response, while awareness of Republic number 7170 concerning organ donation was the lowest. So it has a mean score of 3.23. This means respondents show basic awareness of HIV-related laws, but greater public education is needed to ensure full understanding of legal protections and anti-discrimination measures. In support with this, Human Rights Watch 2018 documented persistent workplace discrimination against HIV-positive individuals in the Philippines. So underscoring the gap between legislation and public awareness. This highlights the need for more robust information campaigns on legal rights and protection. Okay. Next, we have table 2.D, awareness and knowledge in terms of treatment and support. So, respondents express awareness of available support services. So, the highest mean score, which is the 3.89, was linked to familiarity with DSWD support services. So, while the lowest mean score, which is the 3.77, was for awareness of community-based groups like Project Red Reboot. Sorry. And the overall mean score was 3.79, which falls under aware category. This means while government programs are relatively well publicized, community-based support systems remain under-recognized. So this indicates a need to expand awareness of grassroots efforts and peer support resources. In support with this, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA 2023, government-led services enjoy higher visibility compared to local support groups. The findings echo this trend, pointing to the need for enhanced visibility and outreach for community-based HIV programs. Bakit nag-i-end? Next, table 2.3. Okay, table 2.3, awareness and knowledge in terms of common misconceptions. So, this table weighs awareness of prevalent myths about HIV/AIDS. Respondents show the highest awareness, or which has the mean score of 3.89 in understanding that HIV is not spread, or HIV cannot be spread through casual contact. And the lowest mean score is 3.63 in knowing it cannot be transmitted through mosquito bites. And the overall mean score was 3.76, which falls under the aware category. Respondents generally demonstrate a solid understanding, yet some misconceptions persist, especially regarding non-sexual modes of transmission. In support with this, the YAPS-5 study, or the study of UP Population Institute 2022, reported that a significant percentage of Filipino youth held false beliefs about HIV transmission. This underscored the importance of continuous education to correct misinformation and promote fact-based understanding. So next, table 2.f, awareness and knowledge in terms of community and cultural influences. So this table examines respondents' awareness of the community and cultural factors that shape HIV/AIDS education, support systems, and stigma. So the highest mean score is equal to 3.96, was recorded for awareness of initiatives by the local government unit, or the LGU, and rural health unit of ANDA. So indicating strong familiarity with local efforts to promote HIV/AIDS awareness and support. While the lowest mean score is equal to 3.81, was observed in two critical areas. So we have two lowest mean score. First is for the understanding how cultural norms, especially like gossip and social isolation, contribute to stigma. While the second one is recognizing the role of religious beliefs in shaping perceptions about HIV transmission. So the overall mean score is 3.87, falling under the aware category. So it suggests that while respondents have a good level of knowledge about local initiatives, there is room for improvement in understanding the deeper sociocultural dynamics that influence HIV-related stigma and access to care. So in support with this, Mrakov-Hick 2024 underscores that strong Catholic influence and conservative social norms in the Philippines often associate HIV/AIDS with immorality or sinful behavior, fostering shame and silence around the topic. So this discourages individuals from seeking testing or treatment and hinders effective education. So the study emphasizes the need for community-driven, culturally informed strategies to reduce stigma and enhance public understanding of HIV. Okay, let's proceed to... Okay, let's move on to table 3, which is perceived effectiveness of legal protection in preventing HIV discrimination in healthcare settings. The study shows that respondents perceive the selected Philippine laws as highly effective in preventing HIV discrimination in healthcare settings, with an overall rating of 3.952. The highest rating is 3.98, was for Public Act number 11168, or the Philippines HIV and AIDS Policy Act, in preventing discrimination in healthcare. Other laws such as Republic Act number 8504, Republic Act number 11313, and Republic Act number 10354 also received strong ratings ranging from 3.96 to 3.97. While the lowest rating was 3.89 was for Republic Act number 71770, which also called as Organ Donation Act. So, but it was still considered strong. Overall, the findings indicate strong confidence in the effectiveness of these laws in protecting individuals with HIV in healthcare settings. So, in support with this, Republic Act number 11166 mandates comprehensive anti-discrimination measures in healthcare, education, and employment, and ensuring people living with HIV are treated with dignity and equality. It enforces confidentiality and non-discriminatory access to services, which enhances public trust in healthcare system. So, another is Republic Act number 7170, while lesser known, plays a vital role in ensuring fair organ transplantation policies, including those involving HIV-positive individuals. Although it is legally inclusive, public and trust in its implementation appears slightly lower as reflected in the data. So next, we have table 4. the respondents' trust in healthcare providers to maintain confidentiality. So, the data presented in Table 4.A and Table 4.B and Table 4.C highlights respondents' trust in healthcare providers to maintain confidentiality, their comfort level discussing sexual health with providers, and their perceived likelihood of experiencing discrimination when seeking HIV-related services. Next. In terms of confidentiality, respondents showed a high level of trust with an overall mean score of 4.04, categorized as very confident. So, the highest mean score of 4.11 reflected strong confidence that healthcare providers understand and respect the importance of confidentiality. While slightly lower, the score of 3.99 indicated strong trust in the confidentiality provisions under Republic Act number 8504. These results underscore a strong belief in the healthcare system's commitment to safeguarding sensitive information. So, next. And respondents also express comfortable level of ease when discussing sexual health with healthcare providers with an overall mean score of 3.818, 818. So, the highest score of 3.79 showed comfort with respectful handling of sexual health discussions, and the lowest score of 3.75 reflected comfort with the creation of a non-judgmental environment. These findings suggest that respondents feel generally at ease engaging in sexual health conversations with healthcare professionals. So, in support with that, under the Public Act number 8504, providers must protect personal health information and ensure that patients feel safe and respected during consultations. This legal support fosters trust and openness, encouraging individuals to seek guidance on sexual health without fear of stigma. So, next, Table 4.C, perceived likelihood of experiencing discrimination. However, when it comes to the potential for discrimination, the overall mean score of 3.836, categorized as likely, revealed that while respondents trusted healthcare providers to maintain confidentiality, they still had concerns about experiencing discrimination. The highest mean score of 3.89 indicated strong confidence in confidentiality, but the lowest score of 3.81 showed lingering concerns about the possibility of discrimination during care. These results suggest that while respondents generally feel confident about privacy and equitable treatment, they are still apprehensive about discrimination when seeking HIV-related care. In support with that, Public Act number 8504, Legal Protection Against Discrimination for individuals living with HIV. So, it's like the previous table. So, next. Let's move on to statement of the problem 5, which is the respondents' healthcare seeking behaviors related to sexual health and HIV testing. So, the data presented in Table 5 reflects respondents' healthcare seeking behaviors regarding sexual health and HIV testing. The overall frequency of healthcare visits for sexual health was relatively low, with an average mean score of 2.192, categorized as rarely. Respondents indicated occasional visits for general sexual health check-ups with the highest mean score of 2.67, suggesting they visit healthcare provider sometimes. According to Anderson's behavioral models of health services use of 1995, healthcare utilization is influenced by predisposing factors such as awareness, enabling resources such as service availability, and perceived need. In the context of sexual health, the results highlight a low perceived need and limited motivation for routine checkups, underlining the importance of public health education to enhance awareness and normalize regular sexual health consultation. So, okay, next. Table 5.B, likelihood of seeking HIV and STI testing. So, however, visits for specific STI or HIV-related services were much less frequent, with the lowest mean score of 2.07, categorized as rarely. This suggests a lack of proactive healthcare engagement for sexual health and prevention, underlining the need for greater awareness and encouragement for regular checkup. Next. Despite the low frequency of visits, respondents were generally likely to seek HIV, STI testing under various circumstances, with an overall mean score of 3.556, categorized as likely, and the highest mean score of 3.61 indicated that respondents placed significant importance on confidentiality when considering testing. So that is for the table 5.5. Next. Table 5.5 aligns with findings by Buakai et al. 2024, who emphasized that stigma, criminalization, and social marginalization, especially among men-to-men, transgender individuals, and people who inject drugs or PWID, pose significant barriers to HIV prevention and care. Ensuring confidential, affordable, and non-judgmental services is essential for increasing testing uptake, and early detection. Mic mo. Thank you. Okay, next. Ayan, so, okay, now let's proceed to statement of the problem 6, accessibility of local health programs and services. So, the study presents respondents' perceptions of the accessibility of local HIV/AIDS health programs and services in Anda, Pangasinan. Respondents strongly agreed that a lack of knowledge about HIV or AIDS services hinders access. So, the highest mean score of 4.4 indicates that insufficient information about free or low-cost services discourages individuals from seeking care. The overall mean score of 4.23 suggests that limited awareness of both government-led and community-based programs is a significant barrier to accessing HIV services. Next po. These findings align with Mengo et al. 2022, who noted that youth globally face barriers in accessing HIV prevention services due to inadequate information, peer pressure, and insufficient communication from parents or schools. Without well-publicized and youth-centered education programs, communities like Andam may continue to experience low uptake to preventive care and limited early detection. So now, Table 6.B, financial accessibility of local health programs and services. So financial constraints were also identified as a major barrier to accessing HIV services. The highest mean score of 4.66 reflects strong agreement that the limited availability of free or subsidized programs hinders access, especially for low-income individuals. The overall mean score of 4.128 shows that financial limitations, including transportation costs and lack of financial assistance, significantly affect access to HIV care. This results mirrors findings by De La Luna et al. 2023, who reported underfunded barangay health centers in Eastern Visayas. So financial limitation hinder equitable service delivery, especially in rural areas, highlighting the need for increased funding and the expansion of low-cost HIV-related services in Anda, Pangasinan. Okay, let's move on to table 6.C, which is the social stigma. Social stigma surrounding HIV/AIDS is a significant deterrent to seeking care. With an overall mean of 4.144, respondents agreed that fear of judgment and discrimination prevents individuals from accessing HIV-related services. Next one. Table 6.C, the results there, these findings echo Buake 2024, who emphasized that stigma, criminalization, and marginalization, especially among vulnerable groups, discourage testing and treatment. Comprehensive stigma reduction strategies such as mobile clinics, peer-led education, and legal protections are critical to fostering a more inclusive healthcare environment. Okay, that's all. I'm going to Mariela, the floor is yours.
So now let's proceed to the statement of the problem 7, which impact of HIV/AIDS awareness program on the residents of Anda, Pangasinan. The HIV/AIDS awareness program in Anda, Pangasinan was highly effective in improving residents' knowledge about HIV transmission and increasing awareness of testing and treatment services. Respondents reported greater comfort discussing HIV/AIDS and practicing safe sex with a mean score of 4.27 for safe sex practices. While stigma reduction was achieved, comfort levels in discussing HIV and AIDS openly remain moderate, with a mean score of 3.66. Overall, the program had a significant impact with an average score of 4.402, though more work is needed to encourage open discussions about HIV or AIDS. In addition, Morisky et al. 2015 emphasizes that the community mobilization efforts, when cultural competent and grounded in behavioral and social science theories, enhance HIV prevention. This supports the program's highly effective rating, suggesting that further integration of community-based strategies could improve comfort and discussing HIV. Next, the statement of problem number 8, the effectiveness of community-based intervention in improving HIV/AIDS and STI awareness. So, the study also highlighted the effectiveness of community-based intervention in improving HIV/AIDS and STI awareness in Anda, Pangasinan. The intervention were deemed highly effective, with the high score of 4.39 indicating success in providing clear and accurate information about HIV/AIDS and STIs. Other areas such as promoting safe sex practices and reducing stigma also scored highly 4.36 and 4.35 respectively. So in the support of these findings, CAN 2024 emphasized that community-based interventions, or CBIs, when cultural adapted effectively combat stigma and misinformation, leading to greater community engagement and improved health equity. Additionally, school-based and youth-targeted programs have been demonstrated success in expanding HIV education among high-risk population. This insight align with the result, which indicate the high effectiveness of CBIs in providing clear, accurate information about HIV/AIDS and STI, while challenges remains in addressing cultural beliefs and fostering acceptance. The overall impact of this initiative underscore their significant role in raising awareness, reducing stigma, and encouraging open discussion on HIV/AIDS and STI prevention. Now, let us proceed to the statement of the problem 9. The factors that contributes to the success or failure of this community-based intervention. The study examines the factors influencing the success or failure of community-based HIV or AIDS intervention in Anda Pangasinan, focusing on cultural, social, and economic aspects. Community beliefs and religions. Religious traditions significantly influence the acceptance of and participation of HIV and AIDS program, with both scoring of 4.002 categorized as very influential. Traditional health practices and cultural taboos also play a role, with scores of 3.99 and 3.93 respectively, indicating their strong influence on individual willingness to seek medical care and engage in an open discussion about sexual health. The overall mean score of 3.99 underscore the substantial impact of cultural factors of the effectiveness of HIV and AIDS intervention. In support of these findings, Moyo et al. 2025 observed that community-led intervention in Southern Africa effectively increased HIV testing, linkage to care and treatment and adherence by engaging local leaders and integrating cultural practices. Similarly, the surveyed result in Anda Pangasinan highlight the cultural belief significant influence the success or failure of HIV/AIDS awareness and prevention programs. The data suggests that religious beliefs and community traditions shape participation in HIV-related efforts, while cultural taboos hinder open discussions about the sexual health. These findings reinforce the importance of cultural sensitive approaches, improving HIV/AIDS intervention effectively. Next, community support and involvement are deemed extremely influential, with a mean score 4.21 highlighting their critical role in the success of awareness program. The presence of stigma and discrimination remains a significant barrier, scoring 4.17 categorized as very influential. Social relationship and network along with trust in healthcare providers both scored 4.24 and 4.22 respectively, indicating their essential roles in encouraging participation and engagement in HIV/AIDS intervention. Overall, the overall mean score of this is 4.21 reflects the profound impact of social factors and effectiveness of this program. So, in support of these findings, Fiji 2024 emphasized the critical role of youth involvement in addressing social barriers in HIV care. Young advocates in the Philippines have worked to bridge gaps in HIV education and services by developing educational materials, conducting workshops, and collaborating with local health centers to offer free HIV testing and counseling for young people. Similarly, the survey result in Anda Pangasinan demonstrate that social relationship and networks are extremely influential in encouraging participation in HIV/AIDS programs. However, stigma and discrimination remain significant barriers, underscoring the need for initiative that actively engage communities and foster inclusive support system to improve the success of HIV intervention. Next, in table 9.c, the economic factors. Economic factors shows influencing success of the community-based intervention, focusing on how economic conditions affect the accessibility and sustainability of HIV and AIDS program. The highest mean score of 4.19 indicates that the availability of financial resources is considered very influential in determining sustainability of this program. The lowest mean score, 4.17, reflects the significant impact of the cost of HIV testing and treatment on how accessibility for residents. With an overall mean score of 4.18, the results suggest that economic factors, including economic hardship and job security, is very influential in shaping participation of HIV to access to HIV-related services in the community. In the support of these findings, Nakigosi et al. 2015 highlighted that economic hardship remains a significant barrier to accessing HIV/AIDS services even when care is available for free. This study in Uganda found that 31.5% of individuals who knew their HIV status did not utilize care services due to high transportation costs and income loss from time spent seeking care. Similarly, the survey result in Anda Pangasinan indicated that economic factors significantly influence participation in HIV-related services. The data shows that financial resources are highly influential, sustaining community-based HIV programs and critical role in stability in ensuring effective HIV/AIDS prevention and efforts. So now, let us proceed to the statement of the problem 10, which is the relationship between respondents' profile and their awareness of HIV/AIDS. So the chi-square test of independence revealed significant relationship between respondents' demographic factors, age, gender, residency, civil status, educational attainment, occupation, religion, and monthly household income, and the awareness of HIV/AIDS across various dimensions. The finding shows that the age had significant impact on awareness in all categories, with calculated chi-square values exceeding with the critical values of access to information, which is 97.84, and preventions 80.22, protection 135.69, treatment and support 123.40, misconceptions 98.64, and community and cultural influences, which is 201.19. Gender influence awareness most categorized notably in access to information, which is 21.79, protections 22.33, and community and cultural influence, which is 24.72. Well, it was not significant in treatment and support, which is 0.87. Next, residency was strongly linked to awareness in all areas, with particularly high values in protection, which is 694.03, treatment and support, which is 13,899.96, and community and cultural influences, which is 7,043.25. Civil status shows significant relationship, particularly to access to information, which is 129.68, and protection, which is 97.2. Educational attainment had strong association across all dimensions, especially in protections, which is 316.76, and treatment and support, which is 300.72. Occupation also demonstrates significant relationship, notably in the protection, which is 366.64, and misconception, which is 28,342.46. Religion influence awareness in access to information, which is 115.25, and prevention, which is 119.77, and lastly the protection, which is 159.26. Finally, monthly household income has significant association in most categories, including the prevention, which is 74.41. So, in the support of these findings, Republic Act number 11166, or the Philippine HIV and AIDS Policy Act, as it explicitly addresses age-specific HIV education and legal protections and healthcare accessibility. This legislation reinforces the need for tailored outreach effort and enhanced HIV-related awareness, prevention, treatment, access, and protection across different age groups. So now let us proceed to the statement of the problem 11, which is the relationship between respondents' monthly household income and their awareness of HIV/AIDS. The Pearson correlation analysis revealed varying strength of relationship between the different aspects of HIV/AIDS awareness and the effectiveness of community-based intervention among residents of Anda Pangasinan. The relationship between access to information and the effectiveness of intervention as weak but significant. R is equal to 0.185 and the p-value is equal to 0.001. A very strong, positive, and significant correlation was found between prevention and the effectiveness of community-based intervention, which is R is equal to 0.934 and p-value is 0.001. In support of these findings, Gary et al. 2013 highlight the significant impact of socioeconomic status on access to HIV/AIDS related healthcare and information. Their study found that lower income individuals face substantial barriers, including limited treatment access, financial constraint, and stigma, which restrict their engagement with prevention and support services. These challenges emphasizes the need for affordability-focused intervention, ensuring that HIV/AIDS healthcare and education remain accessible to economically disadvantaged population. Integrating legal education, peer counseling, and community-based support programs can help bridge these gaps and promote equitable access to care and resources across different income levels. Now let us proceed to the statement of the problem 12, which is the relationship between respondents' trust in healthcare providers to maintain confidentiality and their healthcare seeking behavior related to sexual health and HIV testing. The Pearson correlation analysis revealed significant relationship between trust, comfort, perceived discrimination, and healthcare behaviors related to HIV services among residents. Trust and confidentiality has had a strong negative correlation with the frequency of healthcare visit, which is R is equal to negative 0.667 and the p-value is equal to 0.001, but the very strong positive correlation with the likelihood seeking of HIV testing, which is R is equal to 0.766 and the p-value is equal to 0.001. Comfort in discussing sexual health with providers also showed a strong negative correlation with the frequency of healthcare visits. R is equal to negative 0.652 and the p-value is greater to 0.001, and a very strong positive correlation with the likelihood of seeking HIV testing. R is equal to 0.860 and the p-value is 0.001. Furthermore, the perceived likelihood of experiencing discrimination was strongly negatively correlated with the frequency of healthcare visit, which is R is equal to 0.586 and p-value is 0.01, and had an strong positive correlation with the likelihood seeking HIV testing, which is R is equal to 0.932 and the p-value is 0.001. This finding suggests that trust, comfort, and fear of discrimination significantly impact healthcare seeking behaviors, particularly in relation of HIV testing and services. So in the support of this finding, the Philippine HIV and AIDS Policy Act of 2018, Republic Act number 11166, and the Philippine AIDS Prevention and Control Act of 1998, Republic Act number 8504 established strict confidentiality protection for individuals living with HIV. These laws penalize authorized disclosures, mandates privacy in medical records and consultation, and prohibit the release of a person's HIV status without consent. By reinforcing trust in healthcare system, these legal frameworks encourage individuals to seek HIV testing and engage in healthcare services without fear of stigma or discrimination. Strengthening confidentiality policies and ensuring provider-patient trust remain essential in improving healthcare seeking behaviors related to the sexual health and HIV testing. So, that is the chapter 4.
Let us now move on to Chapter 5, which is the summary, conclusions, and recommendations. So for the summary, this study aims to evaluate the effectiveness of community-based interventions and legal protections in improving HIV/AIDS awareness and healthcare access in Anda, Pangasinan. So this research used both quantitative and qualitative methods with 180 respondents from different barangays participating. The study focused on factors such as respondents' profile, knowledge, trust in healthcare providers, healthcare-seeking behaviors, and the effectiveness of community-based interventions. The results showed different levels of awareness, trust, and healthcare behaviors, identifying factors contributing to the success or failure of community-based interventions. And for the conclusion, this study analyzed the impact of community-based interventions and legal protections on improving HIV/AIDS awareness, healthcare access, and healthcare-seeking behaviors in Anda, Pangasinan. The majority of respondents were young, female, single, college-level students with low to moderate income levels. While they were generally knowledgeable about HIV/AIDS prevention, treatment, misconceptions, and community influence, their awareness of legal protections was moderate. Despite high trust in Philippine laws, many still perceive a risk of discrimination when seeking HIV-related services. Trust and comfort levels were generally high but negatively correlated with healthcare visits. Barriers to healthcare access include lack of knowledge, financial constraints, stigma, and cultural beliefs. Community support, trust in healthcare providers, and financial instability significantly influence the success of interventions. Strengthening community engagement, tailoring interventions to cultural context, promoting trust in healthcare, and reinforcing legal protections are crucial for improving HIV/AIDS healthcare access and outcomes. And finally, for the recommendations, the researchers recommend that school administrators integrate comprehensive HIV/AIDS education into the curriculum, highlighting not only scientific facts but also legal protections, stigma reduction, and cultural sensitivity, because it will help foster a more informed and accepting school environment and benefit students by equipping them with knowledge and openness about sexual health. The researchers recommend that teachers undergo training in HIV/AIDS education and promote a safe, non-judgmental classroom atmosphere because it will help them communicate sensitive topics more effectively and encourage students to be more comfortable and proactive in discussing sexual health matters. The researchers recommend that parents initiate open discussions about HIV/AIDS, sexual health, and legal protections with their children because it will help strengthen trust within families and empower children to make informed and responsible decisions regarding their health and well-being. Also, the researchers recommend that students learn actively participate in HIV/AIDS awareness activities and serve as peer educators because it will help them deepen their understanding of HIV prevention and reduce stigma while also influencing their peers to adopt positive and responsible health behavior. The researchers recommend that healthcare providers strengthen patient confidentiality practices and provide accessible, youth-friendly services such as mobile testing clinics because it will help build greater trust among young and marginalized populations and encourage more individuals to seek timely HIV testing and care. Also, the researchers recommend that policymakers strengthen the implementation of HIV/AIDS laws by funding public education campaigns and supporting subsidized healthcare programs because it will help increase legal literacy, reduce discrimination, and make healthcare services more accessible and affordable for everyone. Next, the researchers recommend that community leaders sustain and support culturally sensitive HIV/AIDS programs and mobilize resources for awareness campaigns because it will help normalize conversations about sexual health, reduce stigma, and create a more supportive environment for those affected by or at risk of HIV/AIDS. Lastly, the researchers recommend that future researchers conduct longitudinal studies to assess the long-term impact of HIV/AIDS interventions and explore specific barriers to healthcare access because it will help generate deeper insights and contribute to the development of more targeted and effective programs in the future. And that's all for Chapter 4 and Chapter 5. Thank you for listening.